Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in to ABS News Talk tonight. I am yours truly, Chris Anu, coming to you as usual from the great state of Texas, Houston, Texas, precisely. Once more, thank you for tuning in. I'd like to welcome every one of you tuning in from Europe, from North America, and even in South America, across the globe, but Africa in particular, by way of satellite television. Those of you joining by way of social media, Facebook, YouTube, it's always a pleasure to be with you. Do me the favor, as you join by the social media, if you are joining by Facebook, hit the share button. If you are joining by way of YouTube, do me the favor, ladies and gentlemen, let's grow this platform together. Hit the like and the subscribe button so that every time we are on live, you are first to get notified that we are live. This is going to be very, very exciting tonight. I'd like you to stay tuned as I come back and brief you with what I am going to be discussing tonight. Please stay put in there and do not touch your remote, as I will be back in less than a minute.
Are you ready to unlock the power of AI? Mastering AI Tools, a practical guide to ChatGPT and OpenAI, is your ultimate gateway course to harnessing AI in your career or studies. Provided by Pascal Presentations LLC, a trusted name in cutting-edge education, this course empowers you with the skills needed to navigate and utilize AI effectively. Whether you're a professional looking to boost productivity, a student wanting to stay ahead, or an everyday person trying to upgrade your knowledge on this transformative technology, this course gives you hands-on experience and practical tools to make AI work for you. Don't wait for the future. Start mastering it today. Enroll now with Pascal Presentations LLC and take the first step towards transforming your potential with AI.
Ladies and gentlemen, once more, thank you for tuning in tonight. I come to you with three important issues to discuss tonight. Number one, a message is coming from Bamenda, from the Reverend Funky Samuel, former moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. The Reverend Samuel, in an audio message that is making rounds within the social media, is appealing to our boys. I don't know whether he's referring to Ambazonia fighters or Amba fighters, as some call it, to take videos of Womb Acquire, I believe, Road, so he can take to the Prime Minister of the Republic to Cameroon for him as evidence that Womb Road lies in ruins. I'm going to bring you that story with the audio message, the exclusive audio message from the Reverend Samuel Funky, lamenting of the condition of his people. I guess the Reverend Funky is finally joining Ambazonia to advocate for I don't know what I don't want to call it change. Ambazonia isn't advocating for change. Ambazonia is asking for justice. Maybe, just maybe, he is asking. He has joined the chorus of all of us out here asking for justice in Ambazonia. That is, maybe finally. We will discuss that, and then I will take you to the courtroom in Yaoundé, where Sisiko and the other NERA10 members were in court at the Supreme Court yesterday, Thursday, December the 18th, to have an appeal of their case heard at the Supreme Court. It ended in what I describe as an ambush in the Supreme Court of La République du Cameroon. And finally, tonight, I will take you to the AU, African Union, where we are hearing that Cameroon has been suspended, not suspended like in countries with coup d'etats, but suspended from taking part in important deliberations. They've lost their voice. Again, they've lost their voice within the AU. I'm going to bring you that story. And please, I ask you to stay put. When I come back, I will take you to the Reverend Funky exclusive communication to womb boys, ladies and gentlemen, to bring him evidence that Womb Road remains untarred. And he wishes to take that to the Prime Minister to prove that the money has been eaten. The money meant for the construction of the road has been squandered. Stay tuned. I'll be right back with that.
Support ABS Africa TV, empower African voices, and change the narrative. For far too long, Africa's stories have been told by others, through lenses tinted by the agendas of legacy media, often funded by Western interests. These narratives have painted a skewed picture of a continent brimming with resilience, innovation, and untold potential. But now it's time for change. It's time for Africans to tell their own stories. At Africa Broadcasting Service (ABS), we are on a mission to redefine how Africa is reported. But this mission is not something we can achieve alone. We urgently need your help. Our vision is clear: to hire and train a new generation of community reporters and citizen journalists who will capture the pulse of Africa, reporting on the issues that matter most, from human rights and good governance to climate change and environmental justice. Armed with nothing more than smartphones and their untamed determination, these reporters will uncover the stories that legacy media too often ignore. We need to provide training and equipment to these storytellers so they can report on Africa as it truly is. We cannot do it without you. Your donation, whether big or small, will help us give Africa's unsung heroes the voice they deserve. Together, we can disrupt the old narratives, challenge stereotypes, and paint a truer, richer picture of Africa. This is more than just supporting journalism. It's about empowering a continent. It's about justice. It's about truth. Together, let's tell Africa's story. Please join our GoFundMe and donate now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying put out there. At this moment, I take you again to Bamenda. I don't know whether he made that audio. He must be in Boya because I know he lives in Boya here, talking about the Reverend Funky Samuel, the man whose image you find on your screen, the former moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. I will bring you the audio first, the audio he puts out. I will bring you that audio message before I take you to my talking point on this subject, and then my guest, who is very much aware of what is going on, will join me. Let me locate that message from the Reverend Funky Samuel. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to stay put for a moment and listen to the plea, the desperate plea of the Reverend Funky Samuel. Listen.
Brothers and sisters, dear brothers and sisters of this great forum, the forum of peace builders, the forum of talented gentlemen and ladies. I want to use this opportunity to thank all of you for the collaboration you gave me as your son and your brother. Messi, the Minister of Public Works, got up and said the Bauru Akwaya Nigeria border road has been done up to 93% by Honorable Walang. Immediately he finished and got up and objected that there is nothing like that. There is no road done in that area. And so the man left in shame and went and stayed outside. I don't know what he called Walang, but he called the delegate of Public Works, and then he sent words to his representative who was in the hall to tell him to tell us that the delegate has confirmed that that road has been done 93%. Dear brothers and sisters of this great forum, if we don't fight this with our blood, we will never have a road in our area. It will take another 20, 30 years. So what I'm proposing is that since we have our boys in Esimi from Benahunu right up to Benade, right to Bauru, they should do a video of that road. They should take a whole day and do a video of that road on foot, gently making commentaries in pidgin. If they cannot speak English, they make commentary in pidgin till they reach the end of the road in Bauru. Then they cross over. If we have some Berlin boys that we can contact, they cross over and take the same measures and take the road from the bridge right up to Berlin Market. Then when we have these videos, we'll write an official letter. I'll send it directly. I'll go right to the Prime Minister's office and hand this letter to him, including the videos, so that Walang and whoever has chopped that money will be called to book, and that road must be done. That road must be done. So that's what I'm pleading with all of us. I'll stand together on this and send those boys to video that road for us so that we can have a case. We should do it as soon as possible. If you hear this message and you have somebody that can do it for us, and even if that person needs some money for the trekking from maybe Befang right down to Bauru, I will pay. I will pay. And if that arrangement is made, tell me how much the boys are asking. I'll send you the money to give them. We must have this case on the table of the Prime Minister as soon as possible. God bless you, my dear brothers and sisters. There is no way that we can stop fighting for our people. There is no way that we can stop peace in our area. And I think that the road is an enabler to that peace that we are looking for. The road is an enabler to stop poverty in our midst and to bring our people out of their misery. We must do this so that their crops from their farms can find their ways to towns like Bamenda and Bafusam, where they can sell the sweat of their labor with quality and high money, instead of having the food crop get rotten in their farms. Dear brothers, I need your cooperation. God bless you. God bless the Isimi clan. God bless Mr. Kaiko clan. God bless us as a people. Thank you. Samuel Funky is my name.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you listen to the exclusive message there coming from the Reverend Samuel Funky, the former moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, lamenting about the state of Womb Road. We're going to get to the specifics, but this is my message. This audio message currently circulating on social media attributed to the Reverend Samuel Funky, former moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, raises deeply unsettling questions, not just about governance, but about moral clarity, consistency, and sincerity among some of Cameroon's most visible religious figures. In this message you have heard, the Reverend Funky recounts his recent invitation by the Prime Minister Dion Ngute to attend a meeting of the Grand National Dialogue Follow-up Committee. During that meeting, he says, the Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Jumesi, stood up and confidently reported that the Womb Aquia Road had been tarred, completely done. The Reverend Funky claims he immediately challenged the minister, stating bluntly that the road remains in ruins. To prove his point, he now calls on our boys to produce videos of the road and forward them to him so he can present as evidence to the Prime Minister. On the surface, this appears commendable. At last, someone in the inner circle is confronting lies told to power. At last, it seems, a voice from within the establishment is saying, this is not true. In a country where ministers routinely fabricate achievements and present fiction as development, such a challenge should be welcome from the Reverend gentleman. But then comes the discomfort. The Reverend Samuel speaks of our boys, and of needing to fight with our blood. Coming from a man of the cloth, one who has consistently urged calm, obedience, and even accommodation with the regime, this language is jarring. More troubling is the identity of the speaker himself. This is the same Reverend Samuel Funky who, at the height of military brutality in Ambazonia conflict, repeatedly spoke in favor of the military. Even, ladies and gentlemen, even when the evidence of atrocities was overwhelming. This is the same man who remained disturbingly restrained when the pastor of his own Presbyterian church in Bali was shot inside the church during Sunday service by La République du Cameroon forces. He never said a thing. And alongside a Christian woman who died on the spot in the same incident in Bali. In moments when prophetic outrage was demanded, institutional caution prevailed. Thanks to Reverend Samuel Funky. So one is forced to ask, what has changed, sir? Is this a genuine moral awakening? Is the Reverend Funky finally recognizing that the rot is too deep to ignore? Or is this simply frustration that the infrastructure decay of the Anglophone regions has become too embarrassing to defend, even within elite circles? There is a difference between seeking justice and seeking better neglect. One can be angry that roads are destroyed, yet remain comfortable with the system that destroyed them. One can oppose lies about development, while still legitimizing the same regime responsible for killings, for displacement, and collective punishment. There is the contradiction many are struggling to reconcile with. Do these church leaders truly want freedom, or merely a more functional version of domination? Are they opposed to La République du Cameroon's rule itself, or only to the humiliation that comes when that rule fails to deliver basic amenities to its loyal intermediaries? The danger lies in confusing administrative truth-telling with moral courage. Exposing a lie about a road is important, But it does not erase years of silence in the face of bloodshed. It does not answer why the same moral energy was absent when parishioners, your own parishioners, were being buried, villages razed, and pastors killed at the altar. Amazonians are not just demanding tarred roads, ladies and gentlemen. They are demanding for dignity, justice, and freedom. Until voices like Reverend Funky's confront the system, not only for its lies, but for its violence and illegitimacy, suspicion will remain. Because truth spoken late and selectively still leaves the question unanswered. Whose side are they really on? And that is my talking point on this subject, ladies and gentlemen. I am being joined by Frank Mendy. Frank Mendy, who was once the chair of Menchum County, joining me to throw more light on this subject. Frank, it's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Hello, Comrade Chris. Hello, Amazonians, and all the spectators, the telespectators. I greet you all, and it's a pleasure being here with you today.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's get into the subject right away. Tell me, the Reverend Samuel in this audio message I just played is naming a number of roads that have been abandoned, and he says a contract, payment was made, a contract was awarded for it. And however, when he attended this meeting in Yaoundé, he was told, or it was reported to the Prime Minister, that the road has been tarred, finished, completed. It is great. Explain to us what stretch of the road we are talking about. Is it Bamenda Womb or some different stretch of the road? Because everybody knows Bamenda Womb still lies in ruins. And if Bamenda Womb has not been taken care of, who can be fooled that some other parts of roads in Womb have been taken care of?
Yes, Comrade Chris, this road, it had to leave, from Bamenda, passing through Befang, going down through Benakuma, going down through Bauru, and actually getting into Nigeria and linking up Akwaya and coming back. It was like to be a ring road, a major road that was to serve, as, an economic, contributor to the economy that will facilitate the exit of the market, or the farmers products to the market. But what has happened is very
hold
shameful.
on there. So here we are not talking
Okay.
about Bamenda Womb Road, correct? Is it
The Bamenda
road he is
road is
particular
part
about?
of that road. Yes,
Okay.
when you get to Befang, Befang is a three-corner kind of
Yes, yeah, I think I
a
know that
spot, and
area.
then one of the roads goes towards Wum, and the other one continues down through Mudeli to Benakuma, and then it goes down right to Bauru. So, from Befang there is a junction, and the road splits. One side
Okay.
goes to Wum, and the other one continues. So, of course, if that road was to be constructed, the one leading right up to Wum was supposed to be part of it. But, the major road continues through Benakuma and right down to Bauru and gets to Akwaya. And so that's the major part of the road.
So, was a contract, because he is quoting somebody in the audio message, is it Walang or something like that, that a contract was supposed to have been awarded to that man to construct the roads. What do you know about that contract?
For some time, for a very long time, they have been, talking about that contract, having been awarded. And the Honorable like, they call him honorable. I don't know what is really honorable in what he has done all his life in politics. um, he has not been able to help even his own village, womb, from where he comes. And so the man apparently, was awarded this contract. Money was disbursed. And if you listen to the context of that audio, because I don't see how a minister will be talking in favor of the completion of a major road without any iota of evidence. So, to me, it would appear that the minister is himself part of the embezzlement of the funds meant for the construction of that road. And so he was like really embarrassed to have had Reverend Funky in the meeting where he was talking about the completion to about 93% of that road. you know so the people, they are really suffering. Mudeli, my village, my own village, was supposed to be one of the villages through which that route was to pass. When I was still in the village, from my village to Bamenda, the transport fare used to be 1,500 francs. Today, it is over 20,000 francs, and there is no vehicle plying that route anymore. You do it by bike, and you trek most part of the road by foot, because the bike man has to be struggling with the bike in the mud, trying to get through, and while you're walking on foot, just hoping that he gets along with your luggages that are tied on his bike. Look, these are corpses. They carry corpses, the corpses of our loved ones on bikes. That is the dilapidation in which our people are living. But you will see, people like Walang, and today we also have one young man, whom I used to know when I was still in high school, in secondary school in Benakuma. His name is Kobenge Sekedi, who was appointed, as a senator. They come back there and they just sugarcoat everything. They are singing the praises, with these songs of, bringing bread, bringing sardine, bringing some cubes of soap, salt, and maybe some few bottles of beer to confuse the people, and say, oh no, you see, as I am here now, everything is going to be okay. But it is just the same story. Nothing is changing. Nothing at all. Hello, Comrade Chris, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, you are looking there at the road to whom? No, describe what we're seeing here, Frank. What road are we looking at here?
Actually, here, you see here, this is at the area they call Obang. This particular area here is Obang, but all through from Bafut, going down to Obang, passing through Befang, passing through Mudeli, going through Bena Kuma, and then start going down to Benade, Benahundu, Bufi, all those places to go to Bauru. It has gotten to the point whereby the youth, the villagers, they have to get out with machetes, hoes. They are digging the roads with their hands, like things were done in the era of Father Abraham. That is where we are today. And you will see that, the people we are supposed to be relying on to defend the defenseless people in Menchum. They are the same people when they have the opportunity, they sing the praises of the regime. When I got this audio, I was really surprised to hear, Reverend Samuel Funky lamenting in that audio in that manner. Because previously, I had listened to him, talking about what happened in Batibo when his own pastor, a pastor under the PCC, was shot. He was not shot on the streets. He was not shot, in the bushes. He was shot in the church. And a Christian of his was shot to death right there on the spot. And the right Reverend Funky spoke in a way that was very, very disappointing. I don't know whether it is just the situation or the environment in which they find themselves that makes them to become so afraid. But at one point, you should see what is happening and say, what do I really stand to gain? What is my life worth? In comparison to the lives of these children we are seeing on this photo, in comparison to the thousands, the tens of thousands of Amazonian lives that have been destroyed. No. We have seen, spiritual authorities in the Bible stand up to power. I remember Prophet Nathan when King David took Uriah and sent Uriah, to the battlefront because he was planning to seize Uriah's wife. Prophet Nathan went to King David and spoke to him on certain terms that you are the man who has done this evil thing and you will die. He told him the truth. And that
Frank,
was
let's get back to the point here. If I may ask, who in your opinion is the Reverend Funky referring to as our boys, to take videos of the road and send to him?
Of course, Comrade Chris, we know that those areas right now, our areas right now, the La République, they came in and they were committing mayhem. People ran away, and so the boys who can have the guts, the only people who can have the guts to go do what he was asking for, are the Amber Boys. The Amber Boys. I don't see any other person who will go and do that because they themselves, they are afraid that they will get caught up by the military or by even the Amber Boys, and will be in a position whereby they may get into trouble. So our boys, if not, he would have named the names of the people. Our
Yeah.
boys is a term that is generally used for Amber Boys, Amazonian freedom fighters.
So isn't it quite interesting that having spent years to condemn Amber Boys, he is now appealing to them to go and take these videos forward to him so he can take to Yaoundé?
Yes, of course. And I think that was done because this audio we just listened to, this audio has been out there for months.
Oh, okay.
Yes, a lot of videos were produced and put out there for him to use. I don't know whether or not he has been able to put together that document and the evidence to go present them to the other guy, PM John Guti, who also has no voice. You will see La Republicans, they will construct a 2 meter stretch of a bridge, 2 meters to cross between one gutter from one side of the gutter to another, and then you see authorities going there to go and inaugurate the road. So how can it come that a major road like that, worth billions of francs CFA, will be received and the minister is reporting on the completion of the road without having even had any authority talk? Let me just say this, they call them what, subdivisional officer or the divisional officer, or any, they say the governor, show up there with cameras and they are, officially, inaugurating the road or opening the road or doing something that people can see. And you just take it because, Walang came and told you that the road is completed. It's because they are working together to siphon those funds, which end up in their bank account.
Now, tell me,
And if you go,
Emmanuel
yes,
Jomesi is supposed to be from the Northern Zone. Am I correct?
no, Emmanuel Njumesi, I think he is a La Republican. He's the
Oh,
minister
okay.
of, I think public works.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's the Minister of Public
Yes,
Works.
he's a minister of public works.
Okay. Wait,
The person
listen.
who is from the northern zone is Reverend Funky.
Right,
Many
of
people
course.
think that he is from the southern zone. As a
Yeah, I
matter of
always
fact,
thought Funky is from Akwaya all along until today. I thought he is from Akwaya. I was told he's from Akwaya.
no. Reverend Funky is a son of Menchum, of the Menchum County. He is from Beba, which is also a neighboring village to my village. When you leave Mudeli, you pass through Mukuru and then you go to Beba. So
Okay.
he is from Beba. If you know,
Okay.
we had Honorable Asa Barnabas, who did a lot of good work during his time as a parliamentarian before he retired from politics. He too is from Beba.
All right.
So Reverend
Listen,
Funky
Frank.
is from the northern zone.
All right. Please stay put in there. Let's move to the next subject, and I will bring in my other guests and bring you back. But before we close this segment, it is important to note that what the Reverend Funky is crying out there has been a pandemic in that country, actually, for years, for years. People were told, it was in papers, in books, records from the Ahijos regime, that Kumbamanfe Road was tarred. But we know Kumbamanfe Road was tarred just yesterday. And it was supposed to have been tarred also from Manfe to Ekok, but we know this was a recent development. The parliamentarians in the BLM said very recently that the BLM road has been tarred. But I'm telling you, I think after whom the BLM is the next place in that country with the worst roads. People literally use their hands to dig those roads, to repair the roads. The government doesn't exist. But again, you find in the records, the parliamentarians in that matter, they tell you, oh, the roads have been tarred. They took the money, ate the money, and for the government that doesn't care, the people suffer. All right, stay put in there, ladies and gentlemen. When I come back, I will take you to the trial yesterday in Yaoundé, and then the suspension of La République du Cameroon from within the AU. We are coming to that, and I will bring you my next guest from there. So please, you stay tuned. I will be right back.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
thanks for staying put, ladies and gentlemen. At this moment, I take you to Yaoundé to reveal to you what transpired at the supposed hearing yesterday of the NERA10, talking of Sisiko Ayoktabe, Tassan Wilfred, and the rest who had taken an appeal, petitioned the Supreme Court for an appeal for the case that was heard about 7 years ago. Finally, it came up yesterday. And what happened was not just surprising, but an embarrassment for a justice system that it is. In La République du Cameroon, I described what happened yesterday as a procedural ambush, And that is the subject of this next segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen. On the morning of Thursday, December 18, the long-awaited appeal of Sisiko Ayoktabe and 9 other members of his leadership team finally appeared on the docket of the Supreme Court of Cameroon. For plaintiffs who have spent close to 7 years in detention, waiting for their case to reach this highest judicial forum, the day was supposed to mark a turning point. Instead, it exposed once again the troubling fragility and credibility crisis of Cameroon's judicial system. Thursday's hearing took place at the judicial branch of the Supreme Court of Cameroon in Yaoundé, before a 3-justice panel presided over, we are told, by a female judge whose name we did not get. According to the court schedule, proceedings officially started at 8:48 a.m. But long before that moment, the appellants, the NERA10, had already been ushered into the courtroom. They were ushered at 7:30 a.m. Sisiko and his 9 co-accused were brought in, seated in the hearing chamber by 8 a.m. and formally called to the dock at 8:50 a.m. The defense team was formidable, signaling the seriousness with which the appellants approached this appeal. A college of lawyers appeared on their behalf, led by Bâtonnier Emeritus Akere Muna, one of Cameroon's finest and most respected legal minds, alongside Senior Barrister Paddy Young, serving as lead counsel. Yet, no sooner had appearances been announced than the hearing took an unexpected and deeply unsettling turn. The public prosecutor from the legal department of La République du Cameroun rose to address the court. Rather than advance the prosecution's position, he announced his recusal. His reason was stark and unambiguous. He had been the presiding magistrate over the same file at the Court of Appeal in 2021. His declaration immediately created a glaring conflict of interest, one so obvious that the court had no procedural choice but to halt proceedings. Faced with this disclosure, the panel president adjourned the matter to January 15, 2026. That is in about 3 weeks' time. And just like that, after 7 years of waiting, the NERA10 left the courtroom without their case heard once again. The day ended in mixed emotions. On the one hand, there was cautious optimism. The case had finally been docketed at the Supreme Court, a step that had inexplicably taking nearly a decade. On the other hand, the adjournment, triggered by such an elementary procedural flaw, left behind embarrassment, frustration, and a sense of judicial manipulation. What unfolded in this court, ladies and gentlemen, was not merely an adjournment. It was an indictment of a system, La République du Cameroon's justice system. The first and most obvious question is unavoidable. How did the registry of the Supreme Court not know about this conflict of interest? Judicial files do not exist in a vacuum. The identity of magistrates who previously handled a case, especially at the Court of Appeal level, is a matter of record. The registry is duty-bound to ensure that no judge or legal officer with prior involvement in the matter is assigned to it again at a higher level. If the registry of the Supreme Court did not know, it speaks to gross incompetence. If it did know, and there is every reason to believe it should have, then the decision to proceed anyway raises darker possibilities. This was not a minor oversight. The public prosecutor in question did not merely touch the file in passing at the appeal court. He presided over it in 2021 and ruled against the same defendants. And here was he seated on the bench. By every standard of judicial ethics, he was never supposed to be seated in that courtroom in the first place, let alone wait until the hearing commenced to announce his recusal. Which leads to the next troubling question. Why did he come to court at all? Why? Recusals are not theatrical moments reserved for public display. They are administrative and ethical decisions taken before proceedings begin. A magistrate aware of such a conflict would normally notify the registry ahead of time, allowing the court to reconstitute itself and avoid unnecessary delays. What happened yesterday in that courtroom suggests something else entirely. The sequence of events creates the appearance of a deliberate procedural ambush, one designed not to advance justice, but to stall it. After 7 years of unexplained inaction, the state suddenly brings the case forward, only for it to collapse at the threshold due to a conflict that was known or should have been known from the outset. This invites a deeper, more unsettling question. What is the regime really up to? What is La République really up to? For 7 years, the Supreme Court found no urgency in hearing this appeal. For 7 years, the plaintiff, the NERA10, remained in detention, while procedural silence reigned. Why now? Why after all this time does a case surface only to be adjourned over a conflict so basic that it borders on farce? To many observers, the answer lies in a familiar pattern: delay as strategy. In politically sensitive cases, justice in Cameroon is often not denied outright. It is suffocated by postponement. Adjournments become tools. Technicalities become shields. Time itself is weaponized, wearing down defendants, their families, and public attention. Seen through this lens, the events of yesterday do not look accidental. They look like part of a choreography whose objective is not resolution, but exhaustion. Even more troubling is the unresolved question of January 15, the day the case has been adjourned for. Will that date truly hold, or will another procedural excuse emerge? Another conflict, another absence, another unavoidable delay. Given the history of this case, skepticism is not cynicism, it is prudence. Yet, amid the disquiet, one truth stands firm. The case is now on record. It has been docketed. The Supreme Court can no longer pretend it does not exist. That alone represents a crack, however small, in the wall of silence that has surrounded this appeal for years. The embarrassment of yesterday at the court does not belong to the appellants, to the NERA10, of course not. It belongs squarely to a judicial system that once again exposed its inability or unwillingness to rise above political shadow and procedural manipulation. Justice delayed, maybe justice denied. But justice exposed, even in delay, has a way of haunting those who obstruct it. January 15 will either confirm the court's commitment to restoring credibility or reinforce the suspicion that delay, not justice, remains the real verdict of the Cameroonian state. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I am being joined by Eric Echa, who is coming in from London. He will join me to do justice on this subject. Eric, it's a pleasure to have you again, sir.
Yeah, hello, Chris. It's a pleasure indeed. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, thank you. I'm sure you listened there to my monologue, and of course, I'm sure you also probably followed the case. This case has taken over 7 years. The Supreme Court said nothing, did not acknowledge receipt of this case, and neither did it reject it. It was just silent. And then out of a sudden, here are they calling for the case. On the first day of the case, a judge whom they know would have recused himself ever before the case was called, sits on the altar and say, well, I have to step down from this case. How do you interpret this kind of behavior?
Chris, it shouldn't be surprising for those of us, including yourself, who understand how this regime operates. It shows the bad faith. It shows the decay of a society. It shows the ineffectiveness of a system and the complete collapse of how that state is operating. And on top of that, again, it just shows the bad intent, the bad faith which this regime or the government has for our people. I mean, especially those who've been wrongfully held behind bars for all these years. Because as you clearly stated in your monologue, there is no way, there are no words to explain what we saw in those courts yesterday. To think that a case that was appealed, the appeal ignored, it was never acknowledged. The lawyers can't really confirm when they received the acknowledgements from the appeal court. Right. And then finally, when they announced that they were willing and ready to hear the case, you would have think the minimum, the bare minimum that they should have done or ensured was to constitute the panel that would sit to hear that case, the judges.
Right.
That's the minimum you would have thought. Then to think they walk in there with the College of Defense Lawyers ready to hear that case after all this long time waiting, to come up with that flimsy excuse. Honestly, it's disheartening. But again, it doesn't surprise anyone who understands that country. It's a country down the drains in every aspect, be it its judiciary, the economy, which we'll be talking about, and the governance itself. That country is failing, it has failed, and there's nothing left of it.
You know, as we mentioned, this case has been submitted to the court for over 7 years. They said nothing, they did nothing. What, in your opinion, do you think got them to resurrect the case at this moment?
It would just be to say window paint and give that impression, because as we've always known, there is some subtle pressure on that regime. Now, I say subtle because that pressure isn't enough. They are not feeling what we want them to feel. There is that pressure on them and accusations from human rights organizations and other institutions, including those that are influential in guaranteeing some of the loans which they keep collecting left and right. Now, at times, to give the impression that things are functional or that they are at least respecting some of those basic human rights, they tend to showcase or bring up cases like this to mislead and give the world the impression that they want to do right or they want to come across as serving justice. Whereas indeed, the reality is, it's just for showcasing and for their interest. The reason why this case was called, yes, it's due to that pressure, that mounting pressure on the regime to hear those cases, because they have that right. The defendants, those who've been wrongly accused and held behind bars, have that right to appeal. There was never any reason to reject or deny the appeal from the onset. So when that pressure keeps mounting amidst all other things that are happening, given the post-electoral pressures, all the tension and everything, they want to give at times that impression that somehow the system is still intact and functional. And by so doing, they will come up with these gimmicks as though they want to serve justice, when indeed it's just another game. It's just another game from their playbook. Showcase it, kill the case, and things go back to normal. It wouldn't surprise me if it comes January and it gets postponed again and keeps suffering many, many other postponements. It would not surprise me.
Right. I mean, to me, it looks like a PR ploy to kind of tell the diplomatic community in Yaoundé, we are finally working on this Amazonian thing. We want to resolve it. Don't squeeze us up. But again, on another side, it could also be the pressure from the Issa Chiroma team, because you recall Issa Chiroma had said during his campaign, he is going to release everybody within a week of his taking over. Could this be one of the reasons they are doing this, to save face and say they are using the law, the judicial system, to come to a conclusion here?
Yeah, it's a combination of all those things. As I said, it's a combination of many factors, including those you've stated there, because the world is watching Cameroon. They're not off the hook yet. Those who think that the elections are over are dreaming. Those elections are not over yet, because things are not back to normal, neither at the level of the country or with the diplomatic sphere or internationally. They know things are still pending, and that election is not yet over. It's not a done deal yet. And that in itself is playing negatively on Cameroon on many, many levels. And to adjust or give the impression like we are doing or we are willing to do things right, they will keep pulling some of these games and giving that impression that they are doing what is right, or they are trying to be correct, to serve justice to those that need that justice. And yes, that factor, the Issa Chiroma factor, where he did not only make that promise that all of these Amazonian or other political leaders will be released during the first week, should he take power, is another angle of pressure on the regime, saying, all right, if you have stolen this victory, the person from whom you stole this victory was willing to do the right things. If you are sitting on this victory or claiming to be the current owner of that victory, then do that right thing.
Right.
Which includes releasing these people you are wrongfully holding, release these people you are wrongfully detaining, release these people you've jailed for 7 years for doing absolutely nothing or committed no crime. So showcasing or giving that impression that they were hearing this case one more time would have been one of those responses to those multiple pressures and the factors.
Do you think in your own calculations, do you see a situation where at the end of the day, the Supreme Court rules that these guys, they should be freed or reduce their sentences or maybe order a retrial? And you know, at the same time, this case is going on in Nigeria. What do you think here?
There is that possibility when this case will be finally heard, when they will finally sit there to hear this case at that court. There is a possibility that either they will walk out free from the court because they committed no crime, or that sentence or those life sentences that were given to them will be drastically reduced, because that wasn't justice. I am saying so because there are other cases. I can't cite the names here. Just last week, we had some of our people who were also held behind the bars at Kodenge who appealed their cases, and they heard those cases and released them. I don't want to go into citing those names. I don't know whether you're aware of it, but
I'm aware,
we've had some.
Yeah, recently, right?
Correct, recently, just in the last couple of weeks. Some
Now,
walked free from the court.
those were the people picked up in the aftermath of the elections.
Taraba. No, I'm not referring to the elections.
The Taraba.
Taraba. Some of those who were picked into Taraba, some have been released. Some are free.
Right.
Yeah, they were sentenced, given long sentences, some given 25 years. They appealed it and have walked out free from the courts.
Now,
remember, the court that jailed them was the military court. They appealed it, went to the civilian courts, and came out free.
Let's set the record straight. I am very reliably concerned. Millions, those boys who were released, spent. In fact, I was called and told the day that they were freed that that I should not take the report out. I should not say anything, because if I say anything, it jeopardizes their freedom, because some of them were still gathering the money. I think it was 2 million each to give to the judicial, I don't know, whoever the money went to, but they spend hells of money to be released. But go on, please.
No, you've nailed it. I didn't want to jump into that. I didn't want to break this part. I didn't want to dive into this part. It tells you how corrupt this system is. Yeah, you are right. Absolutely right. Spot on. From the knowledge that I know, which I believe you do from what you just explained there, these our brothers that were freed, or that should have been freed in the first place, spent money paying people within that system, paying judiciaries, paying judges on
the bench.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's not jeopardize this case coming up. Let's hold this thing and take it out tonight. This regime is corrupt. Let's not get into this. I don't want to jeopardize this case coming up. You know exactly what I mean there.
Yeah, I get your point. I get your point. And if you had not raised that, I wouldn't. I was told the very day that this thing happened, but I was warned, don't take it out, because if you take it out, these guys are still in jail trying to raise the money. If you go out with it, they may never get out. Thank God they got the money, they were able to get out. But Frank, what is your take on these trials in Yaoundé? On what happened yesterday?
Yes, Comrade Chris, my fellow panelist has just said, La République du Cameroon is like shaking the waters with this, case. They are bringing back this case because a lot of human rights, organizations are pinning La République to what they are doing, not only on our leaders, but also on, their fellow La Republicans that, they continue rounding them up. And so you see, Cameroon has already been, tagged as a very, very risky, business environment. Nobody wants to, invest, in Cameroon anymore. And so they are trying to do all these things with the goal of giving an impression that, okay, we are making things right. We are trying to do what is supposed to be done. You can see it. And so they go back to try to lobby for more money. Because I tell you, that regime is bent on, taking the country, the entire country to its grave. The country is already dead, but they want to make sure that they bury the country before they leave so that nobody, even the ghosts, when they come out, they will not find them there. So that is, the main reason they are doing this. Of course, Sisiku, Ayutabe, and the others who are there, the thousands of Amazonians who are, behind bars, are not supposed to be there in the first place. They committed no crime. They are being held against their will, unjustly. They went and first of all picked them up. There was no warrant. They did not follow any procedural, or legal ways of even, getting somebody to that kind of a place. And so they already jeopardized even their own arguments that they could put forth. So they do all these things to get more money. Now Cameroon also has engaged in selling a lot of her land to countries like China. You imagine a very small country like Cameroon, China has bought more land in Cameroon than they have bought in any other country on the planet of the earth. So they are bankrupt. They are bankrupt. And you see the case they bring it up, they will keep, postponing it, keep postponing it just to buy time and play their politics. But we Amazonians, we are not going to, blink. The cost of occupation and the cost of keeping our people in their dungeons must be increased to the point that La République will understand that they have nothing to gain keeping our people behind bars or occupying Amazonia, which is a sovereign country on its own. It is better that we live side by side as good neighbors than to continue with this war, because the end of this war can only be with the freedom of the southern Cameroons.
Before we move to the next segment of the show, Eric, let me ask you, how do you reconcile what is going on in the Supreme Court in Yaoundé with what is going on in Nigeria, where hearings are being held to retrieve Sisiko and the rest back to the Nigerian legal system? Because you recall that the Nigerian High Court in Abuja had ruled that Nigeria was wrong to have extradited them to La Republic of Cameroon and actually fined Nigeria 500,000 naira. Not a lot of money, it's chicken change, but at least symbolic.
But symbolic.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you reconcile these two cases going on?
Yeah, before we answer that question, let me just quickly add something to what Menji, my panelist, said there with what we were discussing earlier. The timing of all what is going on here is not by chance, it's not an error. I do not know if Cameroonians are aware. They need to know this. I don't know if they're aware of it. They need to know this. Just this December, Cameroon was struggling to have another major, huge loan approved. which they finally got it their way, Paul Biya, or whoever is using his signature, ratified that loan. It is an eye-opening 254 billion of new money that has been lent to Cameroon. This November, we are just here in December. So all of that politicking and the gimmicks playing there to give the impression that things were fine was part of the game, part of the lobbying way to have these loans approved, because those loans at times comes with strings and some conditions. Or even getting the loan, there are some conditions which pushes the government to give the impression that they are doing something, or at least doing something to get things right. So having another 254 billion added to their loan book puts Cameroon now in an extremely critical situation, what you call a debt credit risk. That's where Cameroon is at the moment. Now, at times, I've had people asking me when I'm talking on this debt and credit issue, they keep asking me, but if Cameroon is this bad, the way you're always painting it, if the country is that bad and the situation terrible as you are painting it, why do institutions keep lending more money to Cameroon? The answer is simple, but I'm sure it's not one that Cameroonians know. Cameroon, despite its challenges and the difficult situation, prioritized paying back loans than developing its country. Because when you look at the data, when you look at the financial data and statistics, you may see that, but Cameroon is not really that bad when you look at its credit or its GDP to debt ratio compared to a country like Ivory Coast. Both countries are in the 40s, or 43. Cameroon is 43%. Maybe Ivory Coast will be 45%. Ghana will be in the 40s. You will see, but all these other countries are within that 40-45% region. So Cameroon's situation may not be that as bad as you are trying to paint. But here is the trick. While all other countries are collecting those debts or having those high GDP to debt ratios, they are developing their countries with their money. Yes, they may be taking those huge loans. They may be in that region of 45%, 43% of GDP to debt ratio. They are actually developing their countries. Unlike Cameroon, that finds itself in that same region of extremely high debt to credit ratio or GDP to debt ratio, and the country is a mess. The country is decaying. The infrastructure is at the bottom level. There are no roads. There are no hospitals. Even clean roads. I'm not talking of tarred roads. You look through the city, the capital city of Yaoundé. This is important, Chris. Let me emphasize this for your audience to understand.
Okay.
I hope some Cameroonians are listening.
The next subject we're supposed to be coming to, but complete that.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me not rush into it.
Go ahead, complete that thought.
Yeah, I was just saying that Cameroonians should understand these differences, because they shouldn't keep saying that you guys talk too much about the indebtedness of Cameroon as if Cameroon is the only country having debts. No, other countries are having debts. They collect those debts and develop their countries. Cameroon collects its debts and enrich a few people and leave Cameroonians struggling. Leave Cameroonians without water. Leave Cameroonians without electricity. Leave Cameroonians without roads. What then are they doing with that money? Share among themselves, send into shell bank accounts offshore, and the chicken change that is left, they use it in servicing the debts, meaning in paying back the interest. And that's why institutions are happy to keep lending to Cameroon, because it is one country on this planet Earth that prioritizes paying back or servicing its debts than looking after its country. I'll hold it here, and I will elaborate on this maybe when we hit on the topic.
Yes, let's get on the topic right away. You guys stay.
And sorry, not to forget answering the principal question you had asked about the Abuja and the Cameroon issue. We all know how the NERA10 people or brothers were brought to Cameroon. It was the most aggressive or illegal method. It was an abduction, which was done illegally, not only in Cameroon, but in Nigeria. Nigerian laws were violated. And that's why the court in Nigeria found the government answerable to those acts and were fined for that. Yes, the money might not have been enough, but it was symbolic. It was telling you, the Nigerian government and the world, that what you did there was illegal. You need to bring these fellows back to Cameroon. And remember, amongst those in jail in La République du Cameroon are people holding Nigerian citizenship, meaning they should have never, in the first place, been expatriated to Cameroon. So it was illegal. And that's why this is a strong case, not only in Cameroon, but also in Abuja. And maybe also answer some of the questions we are struggling to find answers to. Why all these games going on now? Maybe Cameroon is trying to tell Nigeria that, look, we are not just holding this boy here in Kondenge for nothing. There is a process ongoing. We are trying to do things right. So if you are actually trying to prosecute or do a parallel process there in Nigeria, you should know that we are trying to do what is right. But we know it's a sham.
All right. All right. Thank you, Eric. Please stay put out there. We're coming back to the main subject of the day that has to do with Cameroon's so-called suspension from the African Union. We will get there right away. Stay put, please.
Are you ready to unlock the power of AI? Mastering AI Tools, a practical guide to ChatGPT and OpenAI, is your ultimate gateway course to harnessing AI in your career or studies. Provided by Pascal Presentations LLC, a trusted name in cutting-edge education, this course empowers you with the skills needed to navigate and utilize AI effectively. Whether you're a professional looking to boost productivity, a student wanting to stay ahead, or an everyday person trying to upgrade your knowledge on this transformative technology, this course gives you hands-on experience and practical tools to make AI work for you. Don't wait for the future. Start mastering it today. Enroll now with Pascal Presentations LLC and take the first step towards transforming your potential with AI.
All right, thank you for staying put out there, ladies and gentlemen. Has the AU suspended La République du Cameroon from the organization? That is a piece of information that has been out there in the news media making the rounds. We've tried to carry out our own research and we cannot actually confirm that. But here is what we know. And let us begin by clearing the fog. Because fog is exactly where power thrives. Cameroon was not overthrown at the African Union. No tanks rolled into Addis Ababa. No Peace and Security Council communique declared Yaoundé an outlaw state. We have not heard that or seen that anywhere. What happened, most likely and most dangerously, is something quieter, subtler, and in many ways more revealing. An arrears-based sanction, an administrative chokehold that speaks volumes about the state of governance in La République du Cameroon today. And yet, even in its technical modesty, this episode has rattled the regime in Yaoundé, excited the opposition, and exposed how fragile Cameroon's diplomatic posture has become. Not a cool sanction, but a financial one. The African Union has rules, clear, written, and long established. Member states are required to pay statutory contributions to fund the union's operations. When they fail to do so beyond agreed thresholds, administrative sanctions kick in. These are not dramatic expulsions. They are procedural penalties. A country may lose the right to speak, the right to vote, or participate fully in decision-making organs until it's out. This is the reality of what befell Cameroon. This December, reports surfaced that Cameroon has accumulated substantial arrears. Figures circulating range close to 2 billion CFA francs, and that, as a consequence, it has been restricted. The word is restricted within AU decision-making structures. Social media did what it does best. It amplified, dramatized, and collapsed nuance into a single explosive word, which is suspension. Suspension. The Cameroon government rushed to deny it. Officials insisted Cameroon has not been suspended, that it remained a full member of the AU, African Union, and that it even holds responsibilities within the Peace and Security Council of it. Technically, they may be right, but politically and symbolically, the damage is already done. Because here is the truth the regime cannot escape. A state that cannot keep up with its basic international obligations advertises weakness, not sovereignty. Arrears are not neutral, they are political. Cameroon should not pretend this is merely an accounting problem. When a government delays payment to a continental body, it is not just missing a deadline. It is revealing its priorities, its capacity, and its internal strain. Cameroon is spending heavily on internal security, repression, surveillance, and war. It is bleeding resources in the Ambazonia conflict, hemorrhaging legitimacy after disputed elections, and scrambling to maintain the illusion of normal governance. In such a context, ladies and gentlemen, international deals become negotiable, even expendable. But the African Union does not operate on illusions. Its arrears system is automatic. Miss your payments long enough, and the machinery kicks in and responds, not with outrage, but with restrictions. That is where Cameroon appears to have found itself. And this is why the story matters. Because when Cameroon is curtailed, even administratively, at the AU, it sends a signal. The state is under financial and diplomatic stress. That's what it means. That's the message it sends. It tells lenders, partners, and observers that the regime is juggling too many crises at once. It suggests that the facade of control is thinner than advertised. Could this be Issa Chiroma's strategy at work? Now we come to the political undercurrent that has electrified this episode. Supporters of Issa Chiroma have been explicit, even unapologetic, about their strategy. They say the regime will be squeezed, not just on the streets, but through financial institutions, diplomatic isolation, and the international pressure points. They speak of making Cameroon ungovernable, of tightening the noose, not with guns, but with rules, reputations, and revenue flows. So the question naturally arises, is this African Union arrears episode evidence of that invisible hand at work? Directly? I don't think so. The AU does not impose arrears sanctions because an opposition leader asks it to. These mechanisms are triggered by numbers, not speeches. If Cameroon fell behind, it did so because the state apparatus failed to pay, not because Issa Chiroma whispered into Addis Ababa's ears. But indirectly, the picture is more complex and more interesting too. Opposition pressure creates international scrutiny. Scrutiny creates less tolerance for sloppiness. When a regime is already under the microscope for election disputes, human rights abuses, governance failures, and wars, institutions are less inclined to look away from technical non-compliance. In that sense, political pressure sharpens administrative consequence. It does not invent them, but it accelerates them. So why these areas-based restriction on Cameroon may not be Chiroma's doing, it fits neatly into the environment his movement claims to be cultivating. One where the regime's weaknesses are exposed, one by one, on international platforms. What should worry Yaoundé, ladies and gentlemen, is not the sanction itself, but the ease with which the narrative took hold. In a confident, well-run state, rumors of the African Union restrictions would die quickly, drowned by credibility. In Cameroon, they spread because they felt believable. They resonated with a population accustomed to decay, denial, and diplomatic embarrassment. This is the re-implication of the episode. Cameroon's problem is no longer just repression at home. It is reputation abroad. It is the growing perception that the state is reactive, brittle, and perpetually one step behind events. Whether the arrears were fully paid or partially settled afterward is almost beside the point here. The moment passed, the signal was sent, and it says this: the regime in Yaoundé is managing crisis, not governing a country. Let us be clear, ladies and gentlemen. This is not yet a diplomatic exile. Cameroon is not Guinea. It's not Guinea Equatorial or Guinea Republic after a coup. It is not Niger after a purge, but it is inching towards a space where technical sanctions begin to mirror political isolation. Today it is arrears. Tomorrow it could be conditionalities. The day after, reputational risk. That is how pressure accumulates, not in explosions, but in increments. For the opposition, Issa Chiroma and company, this moment will be framed as proof that the squeeze is working or maybe beginning to work. For the regime in Yaoundé, it will be dismissed as misinformation, as social media. For the public, it should be read as a warning. A state that cannot pay its dues, cannot command trust, and cannot tell the truth to its own people is not suspended by others. It is slowly suspending itself from relevance. And in politics, as in diplomacy, the quietest sanctions are often the most dangerous. And that is my talking point on this subject, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you back my guest, Eric. You are still there. You heard me tell me if I am on point here. I have not heard anywhere or read anywhere that Cameroon was suspended from the AU as ECOWAS will suspend cool countries from, from within themselves. But what we are hearing is that Cameroon cannot participate in certain decision making within the AU. They cannot voice their opinion on certain issues because they own the continent. This is what I'm hearing. I don't know whether that is what you have heard. Tell us.
Absolutely. Chris, that's a wonderful monologue there. You painted that picture in the most clearest way which one could do for an audience. So you did your audience a service there. Yes, what you've heard is what we all have heard, and the good aspect, whether good for Cameroon or good for us, I don't know how to put it, but the fact that the information spreading and spreading like wildfire is what has made Cameroon agitating. The fact that news is spreading that Cameroon has been suspended from the AU is what is making Cameroon panic, and that's why the regime reacted the way they did with that counter report, denying that news or saying it's fake news and trying to explain the facts in their own words. Now, the reality is there was an administrative sanction on Cameroon. Now, an administrative sanction may not necessarily be interpreted as a suspension.
Right.
Why was there a sanction? That's what should be more interesting. There was an administrative sanction because, as you rightly said it, Cameroon missed paying its dues. These are not amounts that accumulated overnight. These are arrears that have accumulated over a period of time. Now, it may be worth explaining here what exactly is at stake here. Over the last few years, since 2016, 2017 till this day, the AU has been struggling or trying to, the member states agreed in Kigali, and they have been trying to move away from their dependency on Western countries, especially for its operation, the operational cost. And they all agreed that its member states will take upon themselves to fund the AU at 100%. Because until 2016, 2014, about 85% of the operational cost of the AU came from donors and partner countries, which, as you would know, came with strings. So the AU decided that its member states will start funding the AU. And while others, Cameroon is not the only country that's owing the AU. The reason why this is making news is the amount and the length of time that they've accumulated or they've been unable to meet up with their obligations, which requires them paying X amount of money to the AU. I said earlier in my talking points how Cameroon prioritized its debt, how Cameroon prioritized paying back its debtors. The AU isn't giving money to Cameroon. So giving money to the AU is not one of Cameroon's priorities. They will want to pay monies to those that stand a risk or have the strings of stopping or strangulating them financially. So when they borrow monies, they will do everything to pay those monies back, even if it means robbing John to pay Paul, or robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's how Cameroon operates. So the little that is left is either embezzled or sent offshore into private bank accounts. To pay dues to organizations like the AU has never been Cameroon's priority. Now, the timing is unfortunate for Cameroon, because if there is one organization that Cameroon should have lobbied and kept on its good pages, it would have been the AU. Because if you remember, this was one, or if not, the only organization, international body, that recognized and sent congratulatory message to Paul Biya after the stolen elections, after he stole Chiroma's victory.
Right.
The AU, after a few days, was one of those organizations that issued a formal congratulatory letter, notes to Cameroon. So to think that Cameroon would want to be on the bad side of this organization, it's unimaginable. And that's why we saw how they quickly reacted and say, yes, we acknowledge there were some arrears, we've not been sanctioned, but we are paying a majority or a huge part of whatever was being owed. As of yesterday, they said they had paid some. Now, there is no way to actually verify or confirm that fact. But they are claiming that
they said they paid some?
Yeah, there's news secretary that they've paid some of the 2 billion, sorry, CFA,
billion, yes.
which is $2.8 million. They said they've paid a huge part of that outstanding amount. But the question isn't about paying. The question is, how did it get to that point?
Yeah.
And that's why Cameroon is panicking, because they say you only know that a lizard is unwell when the belly is facing upward. You can see the lizard going around, crawling and pulling its body.
Yeah.
You never really know whether it's sick or it's just sluggish. You only know how bad the situation is when you see that lizard flipped upward with the belly facing the skies. And that's where Cameroon is, and they are playing the games to hide it. The reason they are hiding it is simple. Should the international community, the lenders that keep borrowing monies to Cameroon, understand the risk Cameroon is in, the interest rate will skyrocket. Some of those bonds which are being held will be dumped, and Cameroon will be in a very messy situation, as well as the lenders. So it's a game here which Cameroon is playing very skillfully not to offend its lenders, because Cameroon's priorities are its lenders. They prioritize lenders more than the country. The country can be without lights for 1 month, for 3 months, for 1 year. Cameroonians can be without potable drinking water for 5 years. But as long as Cameroon has what it needs to service its debts, the country can suffocate. And the lenders don't care. Those borrowing the monies at high interest rates are they're feeding on Cameroon. They are making monies off Cameroon because Cameroon is a good borrower. They pay back their monies to those they borrow from, ignoring all other priorities or all other aspects of the country. So the situation they found themselves in with the AU is unfortunate, but it tells a real picture. It paints the situation Cameroon is in financially. They've spent huge amounts of money trying to execute this illegal war in the southern Cameroon. That war hasn't only costed lives to Cameroon, it has drained their coffers. It has drained the Cameroon treasury and continues to drain it. Because to maintain that war for these 8 years, they were never prepared for it. We all know they knew it was a war to go in there and finish the job, do the job within 8 weeks maximum, and pull back. 8 years, 9 years counting, they are still in there and spending a hell of money. They've created a web of corrupt individuals, corrupt officials who are feeding from the system. So they've created a system that is eating itself, because they are spending money to execute an illegal war in the southern Cameroon, and those benefiting from that war, who are the officials within that regime, do not want that war to end. And that's why they keep creating that situation, so monies keep going in there, and they keep pocketing it. So they borrow the monies, send into the war fund, people steal it, and those in Yaoundé fit their pockets, and the chicken change that's left, they do what they can do within the regions or the municipalities. That's why you will see from time to time a few caterpillars or a few signs of some work or operations or projects going on, just to give the impression something has been done with part of the money that has been borrowed. Because what is Cameroon, or what has Cameroon done or will be doing with 254 billion borrowed this November? on top of the monies that were borrowed in September. Then bonds that were issued in June, that will be maturing very, very soon. Where is all this money going to? When you have workers, civil servants going for months without salaries, you have pensioners who are crying daily, lining up the offices in Yaoundé for their money. Someone has spent years working, paying his pension, hoping that when they retire, they will sit back and enjoy their monies. But hell, that's not the case in Cameroon. You work, go on retirement, and start fighting the system to regain your money, to get your money back. That's only in Cameroon. It doesn't happen elsewhere. So the situation is there. It is a terrible situation that the regime is playing with time. They are playing with it. But situations like this with the AU exposes them. And that's why it's not just about the RES, but it's about the damage, the image damage this has done to Cameroon. And that's why they should be worried.
It amazes me, though. I was reading a report, I think about 3 days ago, talking about Paul Biya signing a loan. I don't remember the figure of the loan, but it was in the billions. The loan will go towards building a surveillance, a security surveillance network in Cameroon, according to what I read there. And it amazed me that this is a country that has no roads, has no electricity. Yaoundé is a dustbin. Douala is the same. They all stink. They smell, Bamenda, Boya, everywhere. And they are taking a loan to build, to insert cameras in this city. To do what? To monitor the people? All for security? I mean, I don't know whether you read that.
I read it, absolutely. I read it. I'm fully aware of that. I'm fully aware of it. And I think it was, I don't know where you are, just before that, the IMF had rejected another loan which Cameroon was trying to get to also do some work there within Yaoundé. The IMF was embarrassed. They said these are projects that Cameroon should be able to sponsor. They don't need a loan to do this project. And they rejected it. To think you are going to get a loan to install surveillance systems within your capital city, come on, Chris. Come on.
Yeah.
We do not know how low that country can go, but each one of these things paints a picture. It tells the world where Cameroon is financially. It tells the world how struggling, how bad the situation is. Yes, those in power, the elites that are in power are okay, because when those resources come in, they fill their pockets and continue living lavishly, and the man on the street is the one struggling. Which is why it begs the question, it drags me into another thing, where I keep saying that if Cameroonians do not think it is time for them to take their destiny into their hands and free themselves from this regime, then they can keep on waiting for manners to come from heaven. Because manners won't fall from heaven. It is for them, and it will be by them and nobody else.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me bring Frank into this discussion. I mentioned in my talking point, Frank, about the promise of Issa Chiroma to squeeze the country financially, economically, and what the AU did, of course, was quite embarrassing to Cameroon to see it suspended within decision making circles in the organization. Do you think by any means that the Issa Chiroma people are talking to some of these organizations and saying, this is what we really need you to do in Cameroon? Because I believe if they are able to do that and also go to the IMF, go to the World Bank, go to the African Development Bank, they can quickly, in less than no time, bankrupt that regime and render it incapable of running. Do you see the hand of the Issa Chiroma people at all, Frank?
Thank you for that question, Comrade Chris. What I can say on that matter is that, I have observed and I have noticed that, President-elect of La République du Cameroon, Mr. Isat Chiruma, has a very, very powerful team out there, and they are doing, a lot of work on the ground. And so that cannot be pushed aside. Of course, we also want to consider the fact that, Mr. Paul Biya is just so unpopular now, just going by the fact that he has been there for so long that it doesn't make any sense for those who say, they are democracies. And adding to that, the fact that he is ruling with such an iron fist comes into, add more salt into that injury. But now, not just to want to, kind of repeat some of the very powerful points Comrade Eric has put forward, I want to say, I look at it, I start from the AU herself. The AU has been like in a coma, in a state of a coma when it comes to African issues. They don't speak, they don't act. And so, if the AU actually suspended, the right to say to vote or to, put forward their opinion in certain issues of the AU, and Cameroon comes out to say that it is a lie, now the credibility of the AU herself is being put on the line, and I expect that the AU will do something, to bring these guys to order. But you want to see the reasons for which Cameroon is impoverishing, the populations. They understand that the more impoverished the people are, the easier for them to, to play around with them, to, to tussle them, from left to right. You remember one of their ministers said, oh, leave those guys there when they go hungry, talking about the lawyers. When they are hungry, they are going to come back. They understand that if people don't have money, the people will always run back to the front that they go, down to fight over. That is why at one point when our own case was so hot, they came up with something. They said they're gonna give 2 billion, to the Anglophone, schools and whatsoever. Something, Honorable Wiba, spoke, very powerfully against, and they didn't do anything at all. So the regime has an interest in keeping Cameroonians very, very poor, hungry, sick. They want many people to die. They want you people to have other things that, actually preoccupy you, such that whatever they are doing, becomes a secondary, issue to you. That's why you see, even when it comes to the war in Amazonia, a lot of their soldiers are dying on a daily basis. They fail not only to even report the right numbers, they just abandon a lot of the corpses like that. They don't even, I mean, with a common flag to just go present and just send one or two of fellow soldiers or comrades to go represent, them during the funerals of their fallen soldiers. They don't do it because they really don't care. That system is a system for a few, like Comrade Eric said. Those ones are feeding fat, and they are making sure that they are stacking up money offshore. And they want to keep the country, the rest of the country, as it is or worse than it actually is. And you can see that progressively the country is going down the slumps instead of trying to get out of the gutters. So I believe that Issa Chiruma has a lot of leverage at this point because everything else is working in his favor and against Paul Biya and his regime. The only thing that I have as a concern here is where he is, the conditions under which these guys are, kind of keeping him. They don't let him, talk freely. They don't want him to act. And when I heard Barrister Alice Mkom speak and was like saying that, oh, the people have to go and kick out Paul Biya for Issa Chiruma to go there. Even if that is true, but they have to be somebody who is leading the people, who is instructing the people, who is directing the people, who is encouraging the people. So they have to also work on that area, because if they leave this issue to stay for so long, it is going to die down slowly, and that is exactly what the regime wants.
Before I open the phone lines, Eric, let me bring you back in one more time here. Do you see within the opposition, be it Issa Chiroma or any other civil society group out there, do you see the possibility they can actually crumble the regime or cripple the regime in Yaoundé through this economic sanctions, like through the World Bank, preventing more loans? Do you see that chance?
Yes, Comrade Chris. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. There are a few things which I can't speak here on the screen, but the answer is yes. There is a lot going on.
Okay.
There is a lot going on.
Here, so
there is a lot. There is a lot going on, and one thing I can tell you, I know there is that appetite for things to happen at a quicker pace. There is that appetite to see action. There is that appetite to see things happening, which I see where Comrade Menji is coming from. I see that concern because it's been expressed by many Cameroonians. There is the impatience. Yeah. And that impatience at times when they don't see things happening, it can lead to that momentum or the hope dying down. Yes, Cameroonians as a people may not have shown that courage that our people of the southern Cameroons do have and show. That hasn't been seen yet. But at the level of the politicians, especially the president-elect Issa Chiroma and his team, and the multiple diaspora organizations working on this issue, I can tell you here quite confidently that the next few years, or I don't know, the future will be challenging for Paul Biya or whoever is ruling Cameroon and that regime. These are the early days. There is a lot going on, and Issa Chiroma may not be as vocal or may not be out coming as people want him to, given where he is. That doesn't mean he is quiet. That doesn't mean he is folding his arms and just watching. No, I don't think he wants to be in exile for the rest of his life. He knew what he was getting into. He knew why he took these steps, and he has his plan. It may not be going at the pace which people want it, but he and his team are not slipping. And when I mean they're not slipping, the fight is on multiple fronts at different levels. I've been privy to attend some of those closed meetings and heard quite a few of what is being discussed. What I can assure you is that they are not slipping. They are doing their job, doing it at their pace. That pace may not be the one that the people prefer or would want to see, but they are doing their job. The number of Cameroon diaspora organizations that meet regularly discussing planning, putting their heads together. For once, I am seeing the French Cameroon diaspora. When I keep saying the diaspora, I am citing the Francophone diaspora in particular, because the Anglophone diaspora is an active diaspora. The world they know us already. They know what we can do. They know our abilities. I am emphasizing about for the Francophone diaspora, that for once I am seeing them organizing and seem determined to see things change. And when I mean see things change, they are not taking anything off the table. If you do understand me, they are not taking anything off the table. When you listen to some of those conversations, I mean, this is a new direction, and that's why I had some hope in me that this thing is not over yet. Those who think the elections are over, or those who think they've stolen the elections and things are back to normal, they are just the early days. From the little I know, they are just still the early days. There's a lot of work going on, and time shall tell.
So you really think what you have witnessed, you are quite convinced if that momentum goes on, it is enough, it is capable of ejecting or paralyzing the regime in Yaoundé?
Cameroon, that regime you are talking about there, Comrade Chris, that regime you are talking about is a heartbeat away from bankruptcy. It is a heartbeat away from bankruptcy. Take my words to the bank. They are robbing X to pay Y. Robbing X to pay Y. And that's how they are surviving. Should the strings and the knots be tightened, and the slightest pressure, I mean real pressure, not what we saw after the elections, should the slightest pressure, a fraction of what happened in the southern Cameroons, happen in the other part of Cameroon, that regime will collapse.
No doubt about that. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, listen, Eric, we cannot have enough time to exhaust this subject. If you can, just stay put for a few moments. When we come back, I will open the phone lines to hear from our audience and take their questions, know what is on their mind. So please, don't go away. We're going to be right back. All right.
Are you ready to unlock the power of AI? Mastering AI Tools, a practical guide to ChatGPT and OpenAI, is your ultimate gateway course to harnessing AI in your career or studies. Provided by Pascal Presentations LLC, a trusted name in cutting-edge education, this course empowers you with the skills needed to navigate and utilize AI effectively. Whether you're a professional looking to boost productivity, a student wanting to stay ahead, or an everyday person trying to upgrade your knowledge on this transformative technology, this course gives you hands-on experience and practical tools to make AI work for you. Don't wait for the future. Start mastering it today. Enroll now with Pascal Presentations LLC and take the first step towards transforming your potential with AI.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying put. At this moment, we open the phone lines to allow you to chip in what is on your mind. But remember that before you call, shut down the volume of your television set before you call. If I pick your call and instead of hearing you, I'm hearing myself in the background, I just move to the next caller. That is why some of your calls are never taken, because you call. Instead of focusing on your phone, you are listening to your television set, which has a delay. a delay, and I want to pick the call. I want to pick the phone, and talk to you directly. Let's get the number on the screen, please. All right, so that is the call in number. Go ahead and call. Let us know what is on your mind. And while we wait for your calls, let me go back to my panel here. Uh, I don't know, Eric, both of you, do you see Isa Chiroma ever taking leadership in that country, in Cameroon? Because we know within the next 2, maximum 3 years, Mr. Biya will be off power. And the people there now who are actually running the country know exactly what the next plan is. And that plan is not Isa Chiroma. Do you see him ever taking power in that country?
Well, let me jump first on that to say, wait, I don't know when you give Bia 2 years. I'm not quite sure what scale or what what measuring cylinder you've used in estimating that, because you might have done that without taking into context a trip you can make to Switzerland and come back looking a bit younger again to extend his life. So we don't know. But anyway, at some point the plug will be pulled off. That's a fact. Whether 2 years or 3 years, we don't know. I don't know. What I know is that that power will change hands. The rightful person who should be on that seat, who won the elections on October 12th, is Issa Chiroma. When or how he will get there is a question which I can't answer at this point, but it's certain that power will return to the people. And the people, to the best of my knowledge, at this moment, were being led or being represented by Issa Chiroma. So yes, Issa Chiroma will get to power. It may not be easy. It won't be an easy ride. It won't be overnight, but he will get there.
All right. That's your
So,
prediction,
Comrade
Frank.
Chris, can
What's
I say
yours?
something on that too?
Yes, please.
Yeah, you remember Mr. Paul Biya himself back in 2000, if I'm not mistaken, gave a rendezvous for his exit. I mean, from the earth when he staged, his passing while in France, and to see the reaction, and people were like celebrating in Cameroon that he was dead. When he came back, he landed and he said he's giving them a rendezvous in 20 years. Those 20 years expired, last year. And so the guy has defied even his own, his own promises, But what is sure is that he will go. And like I said before, this regime, to me, it is very, very clear that he is not the one in control. There is, a few people, there is a few of them that are in control of what is happening in La République du Cameroun. And for those ones, they want to have him around for as long as possible. But then they want to destroy everything that, poses as a threat, just a potential threat. Remember, there was a general of the army who just made a statement against Paul Atanganji and, his criminal activities. That general was, retired the next few days that, followed that incident. And a few days ago, we saw an assassination attempt on one of their generals in Bamenda. So many people reported it as being, by Ambazonian fighters. I tell you, within the circles of that general himself, He is highly suspecting the regime, trying to eliminate him as a result of their suspicion that he has, he has some sympathy towards Mr. Issa Chiruma, because that general himself is from the northern region. So they will eliminate some of these guys. They have been so good in doing that. If you see our own brother General Tumenta, General Tumenta was leading, the Cameroonian troops in Gabon, in Central Africa, or Central African Republic, under the was it the UN troops that were deployed there. General Tumenta was, he died in under very suspicious circumstances. And the rumor at that time, I was still, in Yaoundé. The rumor within the high ranks of the military were that General Tumenta had been, identified to replace General Meka, who is the overall boss, the chief of defense staff of the Cameroon Armed Forces. And these guys could just not, accept that. They plotted against him and eliminated him like that. And they came up with this thing they say COVID. It wasn't any COVID. COVID doesn't attack you today and, the next day you are dead. General Tumeta was never ill. And so they are good at eliminating people like that. But, like Comrade Eric said, I think Chiruma is doing something, but I just want to see him do more, a little more. And, I will come back to this other guy, Ben Mudo, who came on this platform and gave some hope to the people of Cameroon. The people of Cameroon are waiting to see him and his team activate those other effort forces that will also give the diplomatic effort they are doing some power. If they don't do that, then they are like trying to run just one line. They have all of it. People are ready. They just need to kind of give them go ahead, give them the word, go out, do this. So that's what I can say, on that.
All right. All right. Gentlemen.
I will just, if you give me 2 seconds just to add to what Comrade Major said there. On the incident, I just want to join him in confirming that suspicion of what happened in Bamenda. The claims that Amber Boys attempted that assassination was a big farce. That's, I think, General, his name is it Husseini Jibu?
Yes.
That's not the general you're referring to. Yeah, that was an inside job from other sources that I've read and heard. It had nothing to do with the separatist fighters. It was an attempt on his life from within, and for the right reasons, which we've heard from the comrade. So we are dealing here with a diabolical regime, a regime that has no humanity, has no iota of humanity. If you are standing on their path, they will take you out. If they have the slightest suspicion that you could be a threat, you become an enemy, and they will do everything to take you out of the track. Because remember, just after the elections, it is no secret that there were many generals who expressed their support, who expressed their sympathy for Issa Chiroma. This is not a secret. So what the regime is busy doing now is to identify those generals and even members of the government. So it's a regime that is paranoia at the moment. And the moment they know that you are one of the threats or one of those that could be standing on their path, you become an enemy number one. And you're declared persona non grata. Yeah.
Well, let's hope that there are still courageous men within the army to challenge the regime as far as Ben Mondo is concerned. As you guys have said, I think everything is moving slowly. I've met him recently, and according to him, they are still working on their plans, whatever the plans may be. So maybe we just have to wait and wait and wait and see if something comes up. Some promise December. December is almost over. Now, January is coming. Maybe they keep up building our hope and moving month to month until the hope is dashed. But I think Eric
No,
is,
Chris,
yeah,
you don't fight a war without money.
absolutely.
You don't fight a war without a plan. You don't jump into a war front without resources. You don't go fight an enemy not prepared. They know the enemy they are dealing with. They have seen it. They've seen them in operations. So if Ben Mondo or whoever is actually planning or intending to do something, you don't expect that to happen overnight, except they want to go in for a defeat. So let's give them their time to plan and do whatever. I don't know. When I say plan, we don't know if they're planning a war or whatever. We're saying whatever their game plan is, they should be given that time. They should be given time to work on whatever they have
They should
and
plan
come up with
to
what they're working on.
their
Yeah.
votes and protect their people.
When you
And
talk,
self-defense is a right. We have seen that regime slaughter, Cameroonians, on the streets, destroying people's businesses and properties, just like, any, you know, uh, uh, so they have a right to self-defense, and they have a right to defend their votes, to defend their people.
but let
And we
me
have heard from a lot of sources that even within the ranks of the military, there is a lot of division. So somebody needs to kickstart something, and
let
then
me
the pieces
ask
start coming together.
let me ask Eric there. When you talk about the need for finances for the war, come on, Francophones have money. All the
Yeah,
Rebecca Inonchans are some of the richest in the world. I mean, the people behind Isa Chiroma plus the Francophone community. These people have money. If they want to form an uprising, I don't think money should be something they have to hesitate about. Why am I wrong?
You're right. You're right. You're right, because if they compare to the Anglophone community,
Right.
a you can't even compare those two if they're determined. Now, having money is one thing, being determined is another thing.
Yeah.
You can have the money and all the money. If you do not have the people who are determined, that money won't change a thing. Chiroma can have, or his team can be surrounded with the biggest billionaires. You need people who are determined. You need people who are resilient. The struggle our fighting, our people have been able to withstand this regime for 8 years today. It's not just because of the money. It's
Right.
because of the mindset. It's because of the determination of the people. It's because people want to see things change. And with that, they prepared themselves mentally and know that this could go on for a while. It can drag on. See how operational, see how for 8 years, Monday has been turned into a weekend. So people in both the north and the southern regions know that they have 3 days weekend, because Monday has become a natural holiday. It's thanks to the resilience of the people on the ground, of course, and those who are implementing it. They've tried a ghost town or Vimore, 2 years ago. They tried a ghost town. 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 They tried a in the French Cameroon, and it collapsed after 2-3 days. It wasn't Shiroma who needed to go down there and implement it. It required a determined people. It required people to enforce that ghost town to make it work, and also required those on the ground to respect the call for that VMO. So it's not just about the money, it's a combination of the two, the money and the mindset and the determined people.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. In the absence of any calls, we will call it here tonight. I want to appreciate you for joining the show. We look forward to getting you back.
It was a pleasure.
All right.
As always.
All right. Thank you, Eric Frank.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah, thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Comrade Chris.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to call it a night here. We'll look forward to being back here on the Monday. So please stay tuned with ABS. In the meantime, we'll appeal to you. We appeal to you. Let me take this call here before we go. Hello.
Hello, communicators. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Where are you calling from, please?
Calling from Kumba, Meme County.
Kumba Meme County. Thank you for calling, and what is on your mind, sir?
Yes, I want to greet the panelists there. I want to talk about Reverend Samuel.
Okay.
Now, Reverend Samuel is telling us about the road. So he wants to tell us that the soul of the ambassador that is slaughtered, they were defending that regime, that blood with the road. Which one is important?
Right.
The blood of the ambassador that is slaughtered with the road, which is important, because when he was in office, he closed his mouth. He was talking against the ambassador, but today he's talking about road. So he wants to tell us the road is important more than the blood of the ambassador, his own people.
Right.
People need to be careful what they are saying. Now he's calling our boys, but few years pass backward. He was still calling our boys.
He was calling
So
them. He was calling them kidnappers.
He was calling kidnappers, separatists.
Yeah.
But today he said our boys. So you need to be careful. You need to come our plane. You need to be careful because there's nothing that is important this way than the blood of individuals. And those people that they share, they kill them, that he was supporting those wicked people. You see, and those blood were his people, were his children, his brothers and sisters. But today want to tell us that the roads are more important than the blood of the ambassador. Let him be careful, because he is not a true man. Let him be careful. Let him
All right.
be careful.
Thank you for the call,
God
sir.
bless.
Thank you for the call.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. I can hear you, but can you raise your voice, please?
Are you live?
I am live. Can you turn down the volume in your background and focus on the phone?
Okay.
Hello.
Sir, I can hear you. Can you raise your...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're having some issues with the callers there. Let's see if this one can go through. Hello.
Hello, Secretary Chris.
Hello, sir. Where are you calling
Yeah,
from?
I appreciate it.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Republic of Cameroon.
Okay, and what is on your mind, sir?
What is in my mind is that it's very easy for me to, if I'm a military, I will make a coup d'etat to Yaoundé, because it's very easy, because I've stayed there before. So that place like that, I'm able to do it.
So
But
you have
it's just
stayed there
that I'm
before.
not.
You've stayed there before. Why didn't you just do that and save all of us?
Huh?
You stayed there and you didn't do it. Why didn't you do it to save all of us?
It's just because I'm not a military, so I will fight to my people, not to Yaoundé people, because they are selfish. They have their money. They cannot focus to fight.
Okay, that makes sense. That
Yes.
makes sense.
I have a strategy to fight for our people, not for a Republic they come around, because they will not be able to help us. They are selfish people. They have money. They cannot fight for themselves.
Right. All right. Thank you for the call, sir.
So we appreciate you much, because since I listened to you from SCBC, from ABS, and
ABC to ABS.
yeah, since you were started talking to our people, I was listening to you. So right now I'm so listening to you. So I will be your driver.
Okay. Let's wait for that moment, okay?
Yes.
All right. You have a great night. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a night here, and I look forward to coming back on Monday. So please stay tuned. If you are in Africa, stay glued to ABS as we remain live 24/7 on satellite. Good night.
Are you ready to unlock the power of AI? Mastering AI Tools, a practical guide to ChatGPT and OpenAI, is your ultimate gateway course to harnessing AI in your career or studies. Provided by Pascal Presentations LLC, a trusted name in cutting-edge education, this course empowers you with the skills needed to navigate and utilize AI effectively. Whether you're a professional looking to boost productivity, a student wanting to stay ahead, or an everyday person trying to upgrade your knowledge on this transformative technology, this course gives you hands-on experience and practical tools to make AI work for you. Don't wait for the future. Start mastering it today. Enroll now with Pascal Presentations LLC and take the first step towards transforming your potential with AI.
Support ABS Africa TV, empower African voices, and change the narrative. For far too long, Africa's stories have been told by others, through lenses tinted by the agendas of legacy media, often funded by Western interests. These narratives have painted a skewed picture of a continent brimming with resilience, innovation, and untold potential. But now it's time for change. It's time for Africans to tell their own stories. At Africa Broadcasting Service ABS, we are on a mission to redefine how Africa is reported. But this mission is not something we can achieve alone. We urgently need your help. Our vision is clear: to hire and train a new generation of community reporters and citizen journalists who will capture the pulse of Africa, reporting on the issues that matter most, from human rights and good governance to climate change and environmental justice. Armed with nothing more than smartphones and their untamed determination, these reporters will uncover the stories that legacy media too often ignore. We need to provide training and equipment to these storytellers so they can report on Africa as it truly is. We cannot do it without you. Your donation, whether big or small, will help us give Africa's unsung heroes the voice they deserve. Together, we can disrupt the old narratives, challenge stereotypes, and paint a truer, richer picture of Africa. This is more than just supporting journalism. It's about empowering a continent. It's about justice. It's about truth. Together, let's tell Africa's story. Please join our GoFundMe and donate now.